What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live Late Night Edition, powered by BetUs. Today, we're going to try and set a record, Eric, for the quickest episode of Blazers Uprise Live ever. Probably a little 45-minute stream here for you guys tonight. Sorry, the stream is going live quite a bit late. But still, even though it is August, still here, going strong. Last stream of August, which means football around the corner, basketball around the corner. And we love that. Eric, speaking of basketball, you played basketball tonight. How was your rec league game?
I
don't like the sound of that. What
We
happened?
lost by 62, I think.
How the hell did a team led by the one and the only Eric Brandt lose by 62 points?
Well, we were missing our best two players, and we're playing a really good team. They don't miss, and
You're not your best two players?
Yeah, probably not anymore. More of a elite role player, I guess.
Connective piece.
Yeah. But yeah, it just was rough because we didn't really handle the ball well or anything, and they have guards that can pressure out top, and we had our guards had trouble getting the ball over the half court line. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Adam for the assist here. At least Chauncey Billups would be proud of you.
yeah,
Comment in chat for Babin that says, that's prime Blazers Chauncey numbers. Yeah, man. I'm sitting here like, can't wait for the season. Can't wait for the season. You just reminded me that maybe I can wait for the season.
how was your game?
So today was just championship. And I wasn't in. I just showed up because we've been rough with attendance. But then I basically played one-on-one for a couple hours with my guy Jack. And yeah. So got some work in. I've been banged up though. My ankle, Eric, is brutal. I need a cortisone shot, to be honest. So, or the, platelet treatment, or I don't know. I'm not a medical guy. I don't know what I need. All I know is my ankle is still broken and, well, not literally broken, but it's still rough. Lots of scar tissue. I sprained it literally like almost a year ago to the day. It was like September 12th. And I'm still dealing with it, so can't jump off my left foot. Eric, you might be more athletic than me now.
Yeah, doubtful.
But I've almost ripped through my ankle brace. Like the bottom is ripped 80% of the way through. So I need a new ankle brace. My insoles on my shoes are disintegrating. Like, are in pieces. And I got the shoes 4 months ago. So I'm down bad. But you know what's not down bad, Eric? Maybe I'm down bad for this. Scoot Henderson summer workout tapes. There was a short that was posted like 11 days ago that I hadn't seen. It was just Scoot shooting around. And he makes 9 threes in a row, including an alley-oop 3 from the corner. And Eric, his shot looks good, man. His form looks good. Do you know what clip I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw the clip. So let everyone know what you think has changed with this shot.
Well, do you think anything's changed? Do you think anything looks different? Also, that's a sick cut.
It looks a little more sped up, but I didn't really notice a huge difference.
To me, it's all shooting elbow, right? Like, I talked about it last year. He had a habit of kind of bringing his shooting elbow in and then popping it out to get his hand through, because he's one of those guys at his set point, he has his hand on the side of the ball. And like a lot of great shooters at their set point have their hand on the side of the ball and like snap it through. Steph Curry is a perfect example of that. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the problem is like he was one of those guys that get his elbow in too far. And then in order to snap his hand through, like you'd have to pop his elbow out to get his hand through. And in these tapes, man, I just thought he did a lot better job of just like keeping his elbow out a little bit more, which I know it goes against the textbook shot form that you're taught, 10 toes to the rim, elbow perfectly in, right, 90-degree angles, all that stuff. The greatest shooter ever has a thumb flick, okay? Steph Curry has a thumb flick, and he is not 10 toes to the rim. And at a set point, he has his hand on the side of the ball. But there's things that he does in a shot that makes it repeatable. So you want your shot to be repeatable, and that can look different. But when you're popping your elbow out, when you're trying to follow through in order to get your hand through the ball, it's really hard to repeat that motion. Okay? So I thought his form just looked much more repeatable. His shooting elbow was a lot better in terms of not bringing it in too far. Because that, like, Amen Thompson has the same issue. Bringing his shooting elbow in too far and then having to pop it out, and it looks like robotic. It looks like there's a hitch on his follow-through. It does not look good. It's not quite Michael Kidd-Gilchrist levels by any means. That dude was special in terms of how far he'd bring his elbow in. But while you don't want a chicken wing elbow on your shots, you don't want to have your elbow out too much, you also don't want to have it in too much and have to pop it out in order to follow through properly. So that's something I'm looking for when he plays, man, just like that shooting elbow, because I think a lot of other elements of his form are fine. The rhythm to his shot is fine. It's just, man, he has to, like, clean up the bringing the ball up to his set point, following through in one fluid motion, because there were times last year where he would miss a bunch of shots and you could tell it wasn't fluid. It looked a lot more fluid in those workout tapes. So am I overreacting? Maybe. But I also, I also had fun and pretended to overreact to Shaden Sharp's Ball Don't Stop Pro-Am. So, it's just it's August. So what do we have right now? We have summer workout clips and summer Pro-Am clips. But do you see what I'm talking about from those clips? Or do you think I'm just seeing stuff and being a Scoot optimist?
I mean, it definitely looked a little less clunky than it did during the season last year, so I don't think you're, like, crazy or anything. I don't know if it was, like, that drastic of something where it's like, oh, he's going to be locked in now or anything either. So
yeah, I mean, ultimately, to become a great shooter, he has to make his shot as repeatable as possible. That's what great shooting is.
He's got those big hands, and it almost looks like he cups the ball like this sometimes, like when he shoots. Yeah. It's like
his wrist is flat, man.
It looks awkward when he holds the ball, like, right before he shoots, and I still noticed that in the video, but, like, yeah, I don't know if that's correctable or not, because it's just the way his hands are.
Yeah. Yep. I just think it looked a lot more fluid. Like, his shot didn't look stiff, and it looked fluid from A to Z. And that has me encouraged, because he shot a decent percentage second half, and you could see his shot get a little bit more fluid. Okay, so I think, while his wrist is flat at his set point, he doesn't really get much wrist bend on his shot. As long as he's getting good flick on the ball and following through consistently, that's fine, right? But there's a lot of things that build up to that with, elbow, shooting shoulder, etc., right? A lot of biomechanical things. So I liked it. It looked good. The shooting elbow is what made it look like he had a little hitch on his follow-through. Nasir Little did some of the same thing, especially his rookie season, and it got a little bit better. But his shot, even when that got better, his shot still looked stiff, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot shots in these workouts, and, like, some of his threes late last year, I think look more fluid. And I'll take that. We weren't expecting him to be a great three-point shooter when he came into the league by any means. He shot 32.5% as a rookie after having a terrible start, and his shot visibly improved. So if he continues that trajectory, I feel pretty good about his shooting long-term. Also, I feel pretty good about his body long-term, Eric. Did you see the picture of him? Okay, now we're going to really sound down bad, okay? But did you see the picture of this dude with his shirt off? Is he in the best shape in the league?
I mean, were the pool pictures from last year?
I don't know.
You remember those? Where they were all in the swimming pool or something? But
no.
I mean, Scoot's, he's been pretty physically fit.
He has an 8-pack.
Yeah.
That's different. As a basketball player to have an 8-pack is...
By the way, I did post the YouTube clip in Discord if anyone wants to see it, of him shooting.
Yep. Let me know if you guys know what I'm seeing. But Javon says the glazing is crazy. Not going to lie. Well, that's what you get on Blazers Uprise Late Night, okay? You get some glazing. All right? And Scoot, okay, I'm going to stop talking about glazing. I was going to say he didn't get glazed enough last year. He got too much hate. But that's just kind of a sus thing to say, Eric, even if it's late night. So anyway.
Yeah.
He might be in the best shape in the league, though. What we're going to get into this, actually. So later on in the stream, I didn't really say it in the intro, we're going to talk about one thing that we think each Blazer needs to improve upon the most. Okay? And that's basically the rest of the stream. I just want to take a reprieve. I know this is a basketball channel, Eric. In August, we talk a little bit about other sports, especially sports we're a fan of. Do you know where I'm going with this? Because on the left it says finally.
I'm guessing Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to talk with you. Chat, if you don't know, me and Eric are both Niner fans. The Dame saga felt like it took forever, and that took 2 months. How long did this freaking saga take? When did he first demand a trade?
It's been a couple months, I think.
Oh my goodness. It's finally over. It's finally over. And yes, this is a segue into our friends, of course, at BetUs. But, man, Eric, are you happy with it finally being over? Are you happy that they paid him the amount of money they did? Because I have not gotten a chance to talk to you, and honestly, I don't even care about the rest of the stream. I just want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I was pretty fed up with him, especially when he doesn't report now that it's into the nitty-gritty before getting ready for game one. So, yeah, it was frustrating, this whole thing, because if he just wanted to be the highest paid player, there were teams that were willing to trade for him that give him the contract, but he didn't want to play for a crappy team either. So it's like, you got to make some concessions, man. Like, and apparently this contract has been on the books for like several weeks, and he just decided to accept it today.
I don't think he ever wanted to play for anyone else. I think he just wanted as much money as possible from the Niners, and this was the way they went about it.
Well, I think he would have been fine going to a few other teams, but those teams weren't willing to give him this type of money either. So, yeah, I'm glad it's over because, honestly, I mean, if we would have traded him for like Amari Cooper or something, I guess you could have possibly pieced it together. But we needed Ayuk if we wanted to stay in that win now window, because that would have been a devastating loss, because we wouldn't have been able to replace his production at this point of the process. So we would have been in a lot of trouble. Now we just got to get Trent Williams deal locked in so he can play as well, and I think we're okay.
Arrow said the Ayuk trade request was July 16th. This saga was going on longer than that, though, right? Like, it did not start July 16th. So I don't know if that was like the first official trade request. But.
Well, because remember, like, the draft in, what is that, end of April or something?
Yeah.
He said something about, Jaden Daniels getting drafted by the Commanders, and then when the Niners took a wide receiver, Pearsall, in the first round, he said some other comment. I don't know.
You know what? It is a Blazers thing to do to draft a wide receiver when you already have 2 wide receivers, and then like pay $30 million to one of the wide receivers.
Yeah,
that is very Blazery. But
I mean, the same exact thing happened with Debo. Like, he said he was never going to play for the Niners again. He requested a trade, and then he's been fine ever since.
You know what I told people too? I was like, yeah, Debo did this too. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if he's still a Niner or not. And I had a feeling almost the entire time, even when there's all these rumors about, like, Ayuk is actually going to Pittsburgh. It's actually going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. I was still like, dude, I still feel like he's going to be a Niner at the end of the day. This is their year. Chat, this is the year for me to finally break the curse. If the Niners win a Super Bowl, all of a sudden the Blazers have the ability to be good. Because while my curse helps the Niners lose Super Bowls, my curse with the Blazers right now helps them be completely ran into the ground. So, even if you're Seahawks fans, if you're a bigger Blazer fan than Seahawks fan, you should be rooting for the Niners this year. That makes 1,000% logical sense to me, Eric.
I don't think Seahawks fans are going to see it that way, George.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they're real Blazer fans, Eric. If they're not rooting for the Niners, they're not real Blazer fans. Love that logic. Anyway, of course, I'm just trolling. But if you're into football, we're having a fantasy draft on Sunday on our second channel, Blazers Uprise podcast. The link's down in the description box below. So you can come join us and just basically hang out. And it's just me, Eric, some people that are in our league, And it's just a stream with us hanging out, drafting players. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a little change of pace from all the normal content. So if you want to come join us, check out the link in the chat or the description. And also, if you are interested in joining a Dynasty League with some Blazer fans, let me know on Discord, Twitter. Trying to round up people. Don't know how many teams yet, but just want to have a fun Dynasty League with the community, with some of you guys. So we've already had some people join. So if you're interested, let me know on Twitter or on Discord or email me. blazersuprise@gmail.com if you don't have Twitter and don't like Discord. If you want to join our Discord, link in the description box below. If you want to follow me or Eric on Twitter, link in the description box below. You know what else is in the description box below? BetUs. Perfect segue, because the stream is powered by BetUs. And if you want to get in on the action with football starting right around the corner, BetUs is your number one sports book for the NFL. And you can get in on a bunch of different week one lines to make week one a ton of fun. And they're giving you a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. So that's a great promotional giveaway. There are terms and conditions that come with that. And, of course, check your local regulations based on where you live before using BetUS. But they're your number one stop, and you can get in on any of these spreads, any of this action with BetUS. They're going to be sponsoring the channel all season long, so picks against the spread. Can't wait for that. With the NBA, they'll provide all the spread lines for that once again. But if you want to get into football and want to have some fun, make sure to check out BetUS. Sign up link in the description box below. Helps out the channel as well. Shout out to them for sponsoring Blazers Uprise Live. All right, Eric, let's get into one thing for each Blazer to improve upon. We're going to see how many we agree on and disagree on. I don't know what you're going to say for any of these. I actually scripted us to disagree on everything, okay? But don't tell chat that, okay? You have your script. I
don't even know what I'm going to say yet. For you.
It should be, I sent it to your printer, okay? So go check your printer if you don't have your script in front of you. If you do, then perfect. Yeah, we're going to talk about one thing. You what?
Who said I had a printer?
You don't have a printer?
No, I do.
Check your fax machine, then. I faxed it to you. One thing for each Blazer to improve upon. Let's just do it like this. You say a name, you say one thing you want them to improve upon. I say if I disagree or not. Then I'll say a name. And we'll just do it that way. And we'll just go back and forth. In chat, if we disagree, you can let us know who you agree with more. And this can just be a fun little thing for the rest of the stream.
All right. I'm going to... Let me bring up the roster so I don't forget anyone.
Some of these will be obvious, some of these will be tough. Yeah. But we're just going for one skill that each player needs to improve upon the most. So the most important thing for them to improve upon, specifically.
Yeah. Well, I am going to start down with the two-way guys. I'll start with Justin Minaya. Basically, we know he's a hustle guy. We know he's a solid defender. In order to make any sort of impact in this league or even stick around past a two-way with the Blazers in the future, he needs to consistently hit the three-point shot. And I think that's going to be a theme for several players. But I think, upper 30 percentile to low 40%, if he can hit that, I think he could stick around the NBA for a few years. If not, I think he is probably a G League player for the rest of his career.
Yep. Absolutely agree. I don't even know anything about, Henry Drell or... Who else do we have on a two-way? I'm forgetting someone, huh?
We don't have Henry Drell on a two-way. He's Exhibit 10.
All right. Yeah, so we're not even going to talk about him.
McGowan's is the only other two-way we have.
The guy... Okay. The guys where it's three-point shot, I feel like are layups because I'm thinking next Jabari Walker. It's three-point shot far and above anything else. And in this conversation, we could talk about maybe some other things that could factor into things they really need to improve on as well. But with Jabari, it's literally three-point shot. And nothing else I'm even focused on. Because if he can come out hitting 36, 37% from three, he's an okay defender, good rebounder for his position. He's a solid role player. It's just tough when teams can completely leave him. So for him, 3-point shot, like that's one of the clear cut things. And I'll even to take away the layup from you, I'll even say like Chris Murray, same thing.
Well, I was going to say Chris Murray is
nope,
in there.
No layup for you. That's 3-point shot for both those guys. Like they're in the same exact boat to me. All right, Eric, who you got next?
So Chris, Jabari, Justin Minaya, all 3-point shot.
Yep.
So we'll go with Bryce McGowan's. And oh
yeah, he's on a 2-way. I forgot.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was getting a little frustrated watching him. I just, for me, the high volume, low efficiency scorers that don't really play defense well and don't do many other things are frustrating. So I need him to find a way to use his size and stuff to become a better facilitator with the ball. Otherwise, it's kind of like, what's the point of him being on the roster?
Yeah, who'd you say?
Bryce McGowan's.
Oh, yeah.
But this is also the same exact thing for who I said he plays just like.
He needs to read the game at a higher level. Like he needs to make the right read. The problem is his reads are like, okay, I'm trying to score. In his mindset's I'm trying to score. So it's like kind of a mental thing. Like he needs to recognize when he needs to pass and then actually like want to make that pass. Because sometimes I wonder with him, is it that like he doesn't see these passes or like he's just so hell-bent on scoring that he doesn't care that somebody else is open? Like which is it? Okay? He needs to improve his playmaking for others. He needs to improve his facilitating. He needs to pick his spots better offensively. And I would say that's probably the same thing for Delano Banton. I mean, they get compared to each other, but like Banton, I feel like when he wasn't pressing too much and like picked his spots, was a effective scorer and pretty efficient last year. During his games with the Blazers, it was when he would try and like force his own shot was when he'd have abysmal shooting nights. And there was often times where he's like Euro stepping in the paint, trying to score around 3 defenders when he has like a shooter on an easy, obvious kick out pass and he's just not making that pass. And that's the thing with Banton is I think he can be an NBA role player if he learns when to not push his own offense and pick his own spots. It's kind of backwards. Some guys it's like, oh, they need to get better at creating their own shot. They need to get better at, being crafty around the rim, this and that, like hitting floaters, etc. With him, it's not like he doesn't have the talent to be able to be a 3-level scorer. The problem is he doesn't know when to not shoot the ball a lot of times, and he doesn't know how to pick his spots well enough, and that's what contributes to poor efficiency numbers where you look at it and it's like, man, his 3-point shooting, like that's a bad percentage. But how many of these are you just like pulling up with the hand in his face off the dribble? Like he shouldn't be shooting like pull-up threes off the dribble early in shot clocks with the hand in his face. He just shouldn't. He's not that level of shooter. And if he took higher quality threes, I think he could be a 35% 3-point shooter. I think he could be fine from the 3-point line and could be a guy that like teams have to respect, and then he can get downhill, get into the paint. Just when he collapses the defense, man, gotta be able to make that kick-out pass instead of forcing some just abysmal shots around the rim. So that's his biggest issue, and I think he could be a very solid piece because he could be a somewhat efficient scorer. I don't think he's ever going to be crazy efficient, but just as long as he's efficient enough, and then maybe he could be a 4 or 5 assists per 36-minute guy, where he's just making the right kick-out passes and running the offense, then you have a really intriguing piece off your bench.
Yeah, it gets really frustrating for me when I watch a guy who I know can score just continue to force shots and force shots and force shots when for the brief time he was here in Portland, we desperately needed him to facilitate some games, and he just did not do it. Now, some games he had good assists just because of his usage and just purely running an offense, you're going to rack up some assists that way. But, just the amount of times he drove in, took bad shots it's really frustrating for a developing team to have a guy that just basically ball hogs for 2 months. And It wasn't really enjoyable to watch. Even when he goes off, like he can hit tough shots and score. It's not that impressive. I'm way more impressed if he starts using his ability to penetrate and get into the lane to create some mismatches and things like that. So yeah, I don't really care if you're able to score at a high clip, even if you are efficient. I don't even think he was that efficient. The 0 for 15 3-point shot was, obviously factors into that, but his numbers had already started dipping before that. So yeah, he just needs to consistently be able to run the offense if he's going to have that high of usage when he plays. And basically play like a role player, not a star player.
Yeah. What do you think his true shooting percentage was in a Portland uniform, off the top of your head?
I'm guessing it dipped into the low 50s, like 52%. I don't know.
50.8.
Okay.
Not good.
Right.
That's very inefficient. He shot in a Blazer uniform 47% from 2, 31% from 3. Neither are efficient clips at all. 41% for the field. It's not like he's getting to the line 8-9 times a game where you can say, oh, at least he's getting to the line and making free throws. That's an efficient play. No. So, next up for me, Ryan Rupert. Eric, this is the first hard one. I don't know why I chose him. Chat, what do you think Rupert needs to improve on the most? I would say, this might sound weird, but like, I don't even know how to phrase this. Improving his like coordination and balance and strength.
Yeah.
Like he's on a lot of, like, he has dribble moves. He can handle the ball a little bit. He has long arms. He has some intriguing finishes around the rim, little mid-range pull-ups he showcased in Summer League. The problem is he's not strong enough. He gets bumped. He gets off balance. Sometimes he just loses his own balance on his own, and that happens far too much. And it's like, man, if this dude could just like be stronger, take contact, make these moves, accelerate, and like maintain his balance, then he'd be able to like explode a little bit more to the hoop compared to like driving off balance like he does so much. And it's kind of like no one particular thing. It's just like the like his physical stuff is what needs to improve, because his skills are at an intriguing spot for his age, especially for a defensive prospect, and he shot the 3 ball pretty well last year, far better than I expected. So I think it's just that. Do you agree with that, Eric?
Yeah, I was actually going to say something similar when it came to him. Just learning how to use his length and his body to go at the rim, different angles, how to use his body to shield off opponents so he's not losing the ball or getting it stripped. And just, balance plays into that. Just being a little bit more under control. And I don't know if that will just come naturally with getting stronger and the game slowing down, but he definitely has some out of control moments. And if he can kind of limit those, and, he's showed he is a guy you could easily say 3-point shot on as well. But like if he showed last year that he could maybe be an okay 3-point shooter. I know it kind of tailed off when he started playing more.
He shot 36% from 3, though. We would love for Chris Murray or Jabari Walker to have a season like that.
Yeah.
Even on that small sample. Like, we would love that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's always nice to have 3-point shooting for all these guys. But, yeah, I agree that just, especially on his drives, if he's going to become a Batum-like player, that's one thing that set Batum apart, was he was always very crafty with the ball, dribbling, And if Batum can become that kind of point forward-ish player, I
Repair,
think
you
he
mean?
could be very, or yeah, repair could be
Yeah.
that pointish forward. I think that would bode well for him.
Agree. All right, who's next, Eric?
All right, let's go with Devonte Graham.
Oh no, we aren't doing that. Vet mentorship.
Well,
He needs
yeah.
to take some mentorship classes. I
Well, if he's going to play, Portland does. It's not really that he needs to improve his 3-point shooting. We just need him to be closer to his second and third year where he shot
yeah.
a little over 37% on about 9 attempts per game. Obviously, he's not going to get that volume, you wouldn't think, but you just need Blazers need people who can space the floor, and if these people we talked about needing to improve the 3-point shot don't, we definitely need some help shooting other than Grant and Simons. So he definitely needs to be able to knock down some threes and not shoot as poorly as he has in recent years from three. But I don't know if he'll be on the team.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about him. Um, you really went with Devonte Graham, man.
I'm just getting all the people I don't care about out of the way.
Oh man, let me pull up the roster. Duop Reith. I mean defense, but like I have no hope for that. You know what I mean? His defense is just abysmal. Maybe it should be rebounding, because maybe that's something that he can improve on a little bit. It's tough with him because the things that he really needs to improve on, I have no hope of him like actually improving upon them. But
Yeah.
defense would be number one thing, because just fun offensive player, and he's fine as like a third string big because of what he can do offensively. But the defense is just like some of the worst in the NBA at the center spot. It was funny that last year someone who like was not a Blazer fan tried arguing with me that Duop Reith was like a good defensive player. It's like, dude, what are we talking about, man? He just some of it's not his fault. He's just undersized, not a great athlete at that position. That's not necessarily his fault, right? But some of it's just positional mental stuff. That's the only part that maybe he could improve on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say defensive rebounding for Dwap. He was pretty brutal in that category last year. The team overall had trouble rebounding when he was the center. So he just needs to find a way to use his body better to, whether it's boxing out or better positioning, or just understanding more where certain angles of shots are going to come off the rim. He just has to rebound better when he's in the game, especially if he's playing next to Jeremy or someone like that, who's also not a good rebounder. So yeah, he's got to find a way. And like he's not like the tallest guy for a center, but he does have, you know, a little bit of I don't know, I wouldn't call it like chunkiness to him, but like, he's got a bit of a body that you would think would be good for boxing out, like a Zach Randolph-esque body. And Zebo couldn't jump very well, but he was one of the most effective rebounders for years in the NBA just because of the way he used it. And so he needs to definitely find a way to be more effective on the glass.
Yep. Who do you have next?
Next, let's go with Tumani Kamara.
Yeah.
So he was great defensively as a rookie. His 3-point shot, I feel like, looks pretty good and was starting to get pretty consistent towards the end of the year. That, of course, could be something that you could easily say for him as well. But much like Repair, I feel like if he can learn how to become a secondary ball handler and take some of the pressure off the guards at times. I know we have a lot of that with Sharp and Anthony and Scoot and Denny and all those guys. But I think ultimately, if you're just thinking about Timani's career, if he can become that like Scottie Pippen type small forward where you can handle the ball and basically be a point guard from the wing. I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, it's just hard to have faith in that, like, manifesting itself enough in a way that is meaningful.
Hmm.
So for that reason, I'm actually gonna go with not necessarily his finishing at the rim. I'm just looking at some stats here on Basketball Reference. He shot 22% of his shots from 3 to 10 feet. He shot 37% from there.
Yeah, not good.
That is not good. I don't expect him to ever be a mid-range shooter, and he only shot 2% of his shots from 10 to 16 feet, and only 0.9% of his shots from 16 feet to 3. Okay, so he's like at the rim, close to the rim, or 3. The problem is 3 to 10 feet, a lot of like off balance, weird scoop shots. Like he needs to kind of work on some floaters, I feel like, and just work on his ability to finish when he can't just get all the way to the rim. Because he shot 64% from 0 to 3 feet, but there's just a lot of moments where like he shot some shots kind of close to the rim where it's like, why did you try and do that? You made it a lot harder on yourself, and just had some wild attempts where he's just kind of like trying to extend too much, flicking up some stuff, some crap at the rim. And I would love to see him fix that because he can get downhill, and his shot came along last year. He shot 34% from threes, so of course he should still be working on that, but like assuming it improves by another percentage point or two, he's a 3-and-D guy. If he's shooting 36% from 3, his defense is phenomenal. So if then he can also get to the rim and like finish kind of like Mo Harkless did, then he's an elite role player. So I just want to see him get better around the rim.
Yeah. Joska Fisher says slashing from the forward spot. That's a good one, especially if Klingen's in there with him. I think Klingen would be good at recognizing those cuts from the corners, especially. Aiton, I don't have as much faith in noticing those, unless it's like a designed action. But if we're just running like flex motion and stuff, and it's not necessarily a set play, I would like to see him cut a little more.
Yep. My next player is Robert Williams III.
All right.
His knee.
Improve his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Well, I mean, obviously that would be great. In terms of on the floor, I don't know. We didn't really get a chance to see him that much. Obviously, 6 to 10 games or something.
Yeah.
Including preseason. But yeah, it's. I just want to see someone who like kind of. We still need that. I mean, Clayton could eventually be this guy, but we don't have like a defensive floor general, and I would like to see him maybe assert his defensive IQ a little bit more on the team in terms of like guiding everyone where to be, communication on the floor, that kind of stuff. I think he has that in him. He's shown it in the past. I don't think he got much of an opportunity to show it last year. So if he is able to play, I'd like to just see him like take ownership of the defense when he's in the game and make sure everyone's doing what they need to be, because I think he can be that type.
Yeah, he kind of is what he is, So, who do you got next, sir?
All right, next up, let's go with who have we not gotten to? We'll get into the big boys. Let's go with Donovan Clingan, the Rook. For me, I think this is important for a lot of big men. So for just this particular season, I want to see Clingan improve his conditioning and be able to play 25 minutes or so if needed at an NBA level without getting in foul trouble. He's not a guy who has been in foul trouble a lot, so I'm not super worried about that, but that always is a concern with big men. But I just want to see him get his conditioning to a point where he can stay on the floor for starter type minutes eventually.
Yeah, if we're talking about one thing to work on between now and the start of the season, I think the season will help get him into shape. And honestly, with Ayton here, he's probably not going to be playing enough minutes to really challenge him anyway. So I feel like that's more of a long-term thing.
But I hope he does.
Yeah, of course. Long-term, absolutely. Like right now, I'm going to be very specific with this. Like a little 5-foot push shot. I feel like he could be lethal on like a little 5-6 foot push shot, but he's just off. He's just off. Like he is not good at that yet. And a lot of his roles, he'll be able to catch the ball down deep and just shoot a little push shot over whoever rotates to him because he's so freaking big. You know, it's just, can he hit it? We saw in Summer League he struggled to make that shot, so I would like to see him get a little like 5-foot floater down. Next up for me, Matisse Thybulle, Eric. 3-point shot. 3-point shot. I mean, he's never going to be a ball handler. Defensively, I mean, he's probably always going to be what he is right now, which is a guy that makes plays but gambles, and it can bite him in the ass sometimes. Last year, his 3-point shot was 34.6%. When he came to the Blazers and played 22 games in the year that he got traded here, he shot 38.8% in a Blazer uniform on 4 attempts per game. And if he's ever going to have trade value, I think he has to be like upper 30s, where you can sell him to a team like, yeah, this dude is an elite defender, wink, wink, and he shoots 38% from 3. Why on earth wouldn't you want him? Right? I think if he's shooting 34% from 3, you get into the territory of, yeah, when he was in Philadelphia, he kind of got played off the court because he couldn't make threes. Now, his last 2 full seasons in Philadelphia, he shot 30 and 31%, which is obviously not good. So he's improved, but I would love to see him just continue to work on that 3-point shot and hopefully get to the point where, this season, when we try and trade him, we could be talking about trying to trade a guy that's shooting like 37% from 3.
Yeah. Wes Davidson says he needs to improve his trade value. That goes
there you go.
along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
For me, I just don't have any faith now going into his 6th season that he's going to be consistent with it ever. I think you can get some hot stretches. So for me, when I hear all these people talk about how good he is defensively, all defensive level type player, I want to see him use his defensive skills to actually impact a team defense and not just his own individual deflection stats and things like that. So for me, I think his improvement needs to be recognizing when gambling for steals hurts your team and when you need to be more disciplined and just play straight up defense and things like that.
Yep. Alrighty. We have like 6 players left, I believe. So who you got next?
All right, let's go with the newbie, Denny Avdia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Like I was just talking about with Matisse Thybulle, the hope is that he'll have an impact on the defense by bringing that skill set. But I don't think that necessarily has to be an improvement from him because he's already good at it. So yeah, I think last year just proving that the shooting numbers were not an outlier and to find a way to be effective without getting, because he's obviously not going to just be given the ball as much as he did towards the end of the season with the Wizards last year. So I think he's got to find a way to be as effective and shoot as well as he did last year without necessarily dominating the ball like he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the guys where I have to say 3-point shot. I know he shot 37% from 3 last season, but the year before was 29% from 3. He was not a good 3-point shooter until last season. Last season cannot be an outlier. It has to be who he is. He is a much more effective player, both on and off the ball, if he's knocking down threes. Last season he did that. It's no surprise that the rest of his game offensively looked much better. He gets run off the line. He can get downhill. He can make plays for others. He can finish at the rim. If guys are giving him a gap, it's a lot harder to do that. It's pretty simple that way. Off the ball, he's making defenses pay for helping on to drives from Scoot Henderson, Shane Sharp, Anthony Simons. If he's knocking down catch-and-shoot threes when the ball's kicked out to him. If he's not, then those defenders can be a little bit more bold with helping off of him and trying to clog up the paint, trying to help on to drives from those guys. So very important for him to lock himself in as a 37%, 38% three-point shooter. This team needs shooting. So, I know it was a strength of his last year and maybe his most improved skill in the past year. He just needs to keep making sure that he is consistently that level of shooter. And, if he can get even better, if he can become a 40% guy, that's phenomenal.
Yep. Who's your next guy?
Taylor says that, let me just say this. Taylor says there was an awesome article on what Denny has been working on this offseason. According to his team, they're hammering the in-between game, mid-range, and self-creation skills. I think both those things are great things for him to work on as well. Just do enough three-point shooting. That's very, very important for this team. If he can become even more of a creator, then, the most optimistic version of Denny Avdia, I feel like, is at least a fringe all-star.
I was going to say, if he becomes a better self-creating scorer,
yeah.
You're looking at an all-star level player.
Yeah,
right?
so that's the dream that he can pop into that. So, he works really hard. So that's why I was excited to get him. And I feel like if he's given enough opportunity this year, he could grow even more in that regard than he did in Washington. So my next player is Jeremy Grant. Eric, rebounding, boxing out, actually pursuing the ball after it hits the rim and or the backboard. He should just be doing rebounding drills all off season.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the final layup.
Faith. I don't have any faith in that. But yeah, that's obviously what he needs to improve.
All right. No more layups left. There's 4 guys left. Who's your next guy?
Let's do the big fella, DeAndre Ayton.
There's a couple different directions you could go with this.
Yeah. I just want to see him not have to be force-fed or dependent on other players to play well. I want to see him consistently impact games, whether he's scoring a bunch or getting the ball a lot or not touching the ball at all. I just really want him to work on crashing the boards if he's not getting it, creating your own shot, making your own opportunities, things like that.
Eric, threes.
Mm-hmm.
What is he ever going to add to his game that makes him a different player other than a 3-point shot? He's there's nothing I could see him adding to his game that's going to change him as a player other than a 3-point shot. That's realistic. Yeah. Sure, we'd love for him to handle the ball like Wemby and be as tall as Wemby too. That'd be sick. But realistically, that's the only thing. And he has shooting touch from mid-range. So if he could become a floor spacing center that guys had to guard, that just makes things easier on everyone. And that's the only way I could see him maybe being a part of this team for the future, is if he becomes a solid 3-point shooter that draws the rim protector away from the rim. Because then maybe you can play him and Klingen together. Defensively might have question marks, but at least Ayton can space the floor. And then when he's at the 5, you have really good floor spacing for your guards. Mm-hmm. But I have no faith in that happening. I think it would have happened by now, so I don't think that'll ever happen. But that's the only thing that could change him as a player.
Yeah.
Alrighty. You picked Ayton, so it's me, or
yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. We have 3 players left. Ant, Sharp, and Scoot. We saved the guards.
Yeah.
I'll go with Scoot. I'm gonna get specific with this, Eric, because people just say either 3-point shot or finishing. I think deciding what finish to go with at the rim is very important for him. Whether it's to like try and explode, whether it's to use his left hand, because there's a lot of times he uses his right hand instead of his left hand, and it fails him. Like he's not good enough with his left hand, right? He needs to work on his finishing package, and then also knowing what finishes to go to, because there's times last year where it felt like he maybe could have had a solid finish, but he made things way too hard on himself, or tried to do something that was the more difficult finish. So I think obviously he needs to work on certain finishing and his finishing touch, all that, but I think like his decision making as to what finishes to go to would be very important for him. And I don't know exactly how you necessarily work on that, other than just working on these specific moves and getting him comfortable with it to where he can hopefully go to it in a game. But yeah, do you agree with that, or do you have something else?
Well, that's definitely important. Unfortunately, there's a multitude of things you could say here between finishing, shooting, turnovers, those kind of things. But for me, this is personal. I brought it up several times last year. I just don't want to see him giving up on plays, especially on the defensive end, especially after a turnover. I want that either coached out of him or
How do you work on that in the offseason? You don't. He needs to not do that during games.
Yeah, but just overall effort level on defense needs to be an improvement. And I think his defense will look better, like it was looking okay at the beginning of the season. I just think he just needs to eliminate all of the low effort plays, and hopefully that will help him. And it goes a little bit into defensive IQ, just needs to improve that. And I think that'll come in time with just learning the game a little better. He was a little lost at times, knowing, how to rotate and things like that. A lot of that might be our coaching staff isn't very good. For me, it's just I need to see him if he commits a bad turnover, hustling back on defense and not having those little lack of energy spurts.
Alrighty. Simons or Sharp, which one? Take your pick.
All right, I'll go with Anthony. For me, I've seen flashes of Anthony being not a good defender necessarily, but someone who can navigate a screen, who can stay in front of his guy. I need him to not be like, when it comes to defensive metrics, no matter how meaningless or worthless they are, he's got to find a way to not be like the worst defender or among the worst defenders in the league. Just be a somewhat below average defender. And if you're able to do that with how good you are on the offensive end, I think he's fine. But he just needs to find a way to not get taken advantage of on the defensive end. Now, a lot of that, like I've talked about on post-game shows, is how he frequently gets caught out of position under the basket guarding a big man, and that's not necessarily his fault. That's more the scheme. But I just like to see him improve, just being a capable defender within a team concept. I don't think that's too much to ask from any player in the NBA, let alone someone who's shown a little bit of ability to do it in the past.
I agree. And let me just say this. I've defended someone against defense because I've seen those same flashes in the past, but he keeps ending up, as you said, at the bottom of the league in defensive analytics. So this year, Eric, I am going to nitpick his defense.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to look for anything like bad and talk about it, okay? Not necessarily to be harsh, but what'd you say?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, just because it's like I'm noticing the flashes. It's like, what am I missing? Why is he at the bottom of the league in all these advanced defensive metrics? And I feel like he's not that bad defensively. And it's like, maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe I'm not paying enough attention to like when he's off ball. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm like trying to see the good and not trying to see the bad a little too much. So I'm looking for the bad this year. I'm just going to say it right now on post-game shows. There might be games where it's like, man, this dude's an ant hater. His offense, I think people hate on too much for him playing iso ball and that stuff. Like, I will always defend him in regards to some of the ridiculous narratives about his offensive game. He's a really, really gifted offensive player. Defense, I'm gonna look for the issues this year, and I'm gonna talk about them. Final player.
Real quick, Dame, for all the crap he gets on defense, if you look at defensive EPM, he was one of the best guard defenders last year.
Yeah.
Which it might say more about the stat than anything, but he found a way to make it somewhat respectable, and the narrative doesn't necessarily change. People still think he's a crappy defender or whatever, so that doesn't make a difference. I just don't want to have that argument because it would be nice to say, well, he's middle of the pack a defender. Like, that's all you need to be if you're that good offensively.
Yep. Final guy before we head out of here is Shaden Sharp. Okay, Eric, he needs to work on his handle and his bag. The only way he becomes an elite star-level player is if he becomes a lethal scorer, and the only way he gets there is if he can consistently make tough shots, consistently break down elite defenders. The way he does that is improving his handle and improving his bag, so to say, like being able to find ways to get off makeable shots in tough situations, being able to develop some go-to moves. Right now, I don't even know what his go-to move is, and a lot of lethal players have a move that they go to a lot or specific moves that they go to a lot. So I think for him, that's the path to stardom, becoming a lethal scorer, and I think there's some steps that he can take with his handle and with just some of his moves that can help him get there in the future.
Yeah, I think it started to improve towards the end of his rookie year. Kind of hard to tell last year because he didn't handle the ball as much as he did at the end of his rookie year. And then, of course, he got hurt and missed 50 games. But, I think in the past his dribbling has been a little too careless and loose. And so if he can tighten that up, improve his first step a little bit off the dribble, I think he has the tools and eventually the bag to become one of the better shooting guard scorers in the NBA. But he just hasn't been able to consistently do it. So I agree with what you're saying.
Cool. If you're watching back after the fact, let us know what you think each Blazer needs to improve on in the comments section below. Also, if you're in the live chat, you can wait for this stream to be over, and then you can leave your comment down in the comment section below. Once again, this stream was brought to you by BetUs. Check them out in the description. We'll be live again on Sunday on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Podcast. Check out that link in the description. Come join us for a fantasy football draft. Eric, anything else?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to explain my shirt.
Yeah.
So Mike Lynch was Blazers radio. He did like the pregame, halftime, kind of like the whatever you call it, like the host or whatever, and was recently diagnosed with ALS. And so he used to work for 1080 The Fan here, a local sports radio station for a long time, was a part of a show on there. And they're actually selling these shirts, all sales, the entire 100% of the sales go directly to Mike personally. So if you're interested in supporting him, and this is a joke. He once read off a code for a contest. The code word was you're supposed to text in swing, and he spelled it SWINJ. So the joke is to help Mike take a swinge against ALS instead of swing, because he misspelled it one time. And that became like a drop on the show he was on. So yeah, if you're able to help him out, he was a Blazer radio guy and a longtime sports caster in the area on some tough times. So check that out on 1080 The Fans website.
Yep. For a good cause, man. For a good cause. I hate to see anybody going through that. That's one of the worst things out there, man. ALS sucks. So definitely go support that and buy a shirt. And you can be just like Eric.
Yeah, we can wear the same shirt.
And you guys can match. And yeah. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thank you for joining us on the late stream. Once again, sorry for it going live late. Once again, shout out to BetUs. Looking forward to the fantasy football draft on Sunday, and then we'll be back again with our first official Monday or official September edition of Blazers Uprise Live on Monday. So, it's right around the corner. Things are right around the corner. I'm looking forward to it. Once again, thank you to all you guys in the live chat. Leave a like on the video on your way out of here. And if you're watching back after, leave your comment in the comment section. I do read those, even if I don't respond to all of them. And with that being said, I am out of here. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!